Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Rose Muralikrishnan from Los Angeles. How are you all doing out there? I am very excited to bring yet another amazing artist in today's Artist Beyond Limits series. But before I bring her out as our special guest, I wanted to share with you the incredible power of hard work, dedication, making sincere effort in anything and everything we do, and always striving for newer opportunities, and how these qualities can lead one to succeed in life. Life, is basically a journey, and on this ongoing journey, we are presented with countless number of opportunities. Some may be obvious and, of course, within our reach, while others may require us to venture into uncharted territories. The key to unlocking these amazing opportunities lies in our unwavering determination to keep thriving for betterment, to move for our betterment. We live in a rapidly changing world where innovations and progress are the driving forces. Stagnation is the enemy of growth, and those who stand still, you know, risk being left behind. It is the relentless pursuit of newer opportunities that allows us to adapt, evolve, overcome, and ultimately succeed, right? Think of the great minds and visionaries throughout the history. They were not content with the status quo. They had an, how do you say that, insatiable thirst for knowledge and an unyielding desire to explore uncharted territories. Their dedication to pushing the boundaries of what was known and seeking out newer opportunities propelled them to greatness. Just believe me, it's true, right? It is possible only through hard work, dedication, and sincere efforts that we bring our aspirations to life. Success is not simply handed to us on a silver platter, right? It requires hard work, perseverance, and a genuine commitment to giving our best in every endeavor we undertake. Whether it's in our personal relationships, our education, or our careers, or our music, or as a matter of fact, any other fine arts. Our dedication sets the stage for the achievement of our goals. Consider the individuals who have achieved remarkable success in their fields. They didn't stumble upon their accomplishments by chance. They made a conscious decision to invest their time, energy, talent, and passion into their pursuits. They understood that true success is a result of wholeheartedly embracing the opportunities presented to us and putting forth our best effort. But our journey towards success is not without its challenges, right? We will face setbacks, failures, and moments of doubt. However, It is during these times that our unwavering dedication becomes even more crucial. It is through sincere effort and resilience that we pick ourselves up, learn from our mistakes, and forge ahead with renewed determination. So we all understand what is needed for our success in this current fast paced world, right? In today's episode, I'm going to be bringing an artist who is one of a kind, who embraces the spirit of hard work, of non stop thriving. Even though the instrument she plays is foreign to the land she picked to live in for the rest of her life, she tries and tries hard and tries the hardest to keep pushing herself to move to the next level up and above wholeheartedly, to achieve and succeed without looking back. I am sure you had figured out the name of the artist by now, right? Yes, it is Mrs. Nirmala Rajasekar, a renowned musician and Kalaimamani awardee who is a phenomenal Carnatic Saraswati Veena player, vocalist, composer, and an educator. Born in Chennai, Nirmala began her performing career at the age of 13, teenager, before coming under the guidance of the veteran Vidushi Professor Srimati Kalpakam Swaminathan, with whom she studied for nearly 3 decades. She trained under the veteran gurus such as Devakote Sri Narayana Iyengar, Srimati Kamala Ashwatthama, Srimati G. Chennamma, Srimati E.P. Alamelu, and Sri A.D. Zacharya. Nirmala has also been mentored by the Veena Maestro. You can say who that is. I already mentioned it. Dr. S. Balachandar, yes. And Professor T.R. Subramaniam, sir. Sri B. Sitarama Sharma, sir. Oh, I worked with him a lot, when I was in India. And Sri Kalkata Krishnamurti, sir. Actually, I studied under him as soon as I finished my master's. So, we have common teachers here. And Sri M.S. Anantaraman, sir. And Sri Lal Gudi Jayaraman, sir. And B.M. Sundaram, sir. In many occasions to learn some specialty compositions and so forth. Her music highlights of all this rich parampara of wonderful gurus definitely shows in her performances and also in educating her students. Nirmala has performed at several world-renowned venues, including Siri Fort, New Delhi, Carnegie Hall, and United Nations, New York, Sawai Gandharva Mahotsav in Pune, the Music Academy Nardagana Sabha Kalakshetra of Chennai, Jnana Sabha Samaj of Bangalore, and Chembur Fine Arts, Calcutta Performing Arts Festival, Rumi International Festival, Musée Rietberg of Zurich, Switzerland, and many, many, many other venues in India, US, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, Indonesia, and Singapore, you name it, she is there in almost every country. As an amazing composer, Nirmala has written traditional and collaborative music for orchestras, bands, choruses, theater, and chamber ensembles in Indian as well as Western classical music. Her awards include Kalaimamani Award. You all know that the most, it's from Tamil Nadu, most rewarding award for the artist. And Nadakala Vipanchi Award, Vocational Excellence Award, Virna Sudaroli, Women of Substance Award, Virna Kala Vittagar, a Lifetime Achievement Award, Pratibha Puraskar, and Swararaga Saragyar, Asthana Vidwan by the Hindu Temple Society of Minnesota, and Gandharva Vidyadhara at the famed Cleveland Aradhana, and we can't miss it. and that's one of the prestigious awards. Cleveland Aradhana from the US, the TRS Memorial Award for Excellence in Teaching, or to name a few. And she has many more awards, and these are all the vital main ones that I wanted to just bring it out to our audience. Nirmala has been awarded numerous grants and fellowships by leading American organizations as well. She is the first Indian musician to receive the Bush Fellowship and the McKnight Fellowship as well. It's amazing, right? Nirmala also found Nadarasa in 2019, which is a charitable organization to propagate the Indian classical music and the Saraswati Veena, which she plays. So, without further ado, I'm going to be bringing Nirmala Rajasekar on world stage. Please join me with a big round of applause to welcome Nirmala Rajasekar on stage. One moment. She is right here. Hello, Nirmala ji. How are you?
Namaste.
Namaskaram. It's beautiful to see you after a long time. And I really wanted to bring you in my live broadcast for a very long time because of your schedule and my schedule. It was postponed and postponed and postponed. And today is the lucky day for me to bring you in. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm
I'm
doing
doing
fantastic.
fantastic.
Beautiful, beautiful. And
Thank
so,
you.
please tell me, how do you feel? What do you feel?
Listen
Listen
to
to
you
you
speak
speak
was
was
very
very
empowering.
empowering.
And the reason was about how you said we need to keep moving. How you said that it's very important to think about what is the next step. And, you know, that was such an important part of my journey, and I'm sure your journey, Rose J, because it is these ideas that flow into us that keep us moving to the next level, whether it is learning a new composition or something as simple as changing the string of the instrument, something that has been pending, or something more intricate, such as research into a new area or a new ragam. It is this kind of a force that pushes us to keep going. And after these 3 years that we have all been in the pandemic, which is one of the reasons why we couldn't meet each other sooner. And I thank you for thinking about me and bringing me on to your beautiful, beautiful program, which I've greatly admired. It takes a great heart and a lot of effort, as you very beautifully said, to make something like this happen. So, after 3 years, when all of us were homebound, to say the minimum, when all of us had to think about what is next for us, keep ourselves motivated, keep our balance with all that was going on in our lives. After all, COVID, you know, had its share in all our lives in some way or the other. The thing that kept us moving forward, perhaps, is this fire that we have received from our great masters, our great teachers, and our great culture and the world, that music could unite us even in these times. And watching your shows during the pandemic was such an important calendar entry in so many people's lives. So when you announced your shows, so many of us, put our calendars to, okay, this is something we need to be part of. This is something I need to be part of because there is so much to learn in every show that you did. And to be part of this, meeting you in LA from Minnesota is a very, very special feeling. So, to all of you who are joining us, who are out there with us today, namaste, welcome, and thank you for being here.
How beautiful! Oh my God, that's phenomenal. I mean, how you said was, I mean, I'm really honored that Nirmala ji. This is a really good to hear from a person like you. Thank you so much. And so our audience actually are waiting to see most of the time, why I started this new episode of Artists Beyond Limits is because, we get to, I thought about myself when I go and perform somewhere. We give them towards the end of the concert, like maybe 5 minutes. Okay, I give you the 5 minutes, so you any questions you have, you can ask. And they only ask about, the tambura I play, I keep in my hand. Oh, what is that instrument? How many strings? Why don't you play? Why do you just struck? And things like that. That's the maximum time we are allowing them to talk to us, and they don't know who we are, what we are. So I thought about it. I kept myself in every artist's shoes and thought about it. You know what? Everybody probably are going through, whether they are the highest level of great gurus or people like all of us who live here in the United States and people from all over the world. Like the artists. Who are performing artists never get to speak to the audience. I mean, whatever little we know about their history, about our stories, that's very little we know. So why don't we bring them in and an artist to be beyond their own level, to come go through a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties to become a performer. It they probably went through quite a bit. And what is that? And especially people like you and me, we live in the foreign country, I mean, doing Indian music. And for us, it's even more, lot more challenges. And I really wanted to bring the artist and talk to them. And how did you make it to be who you are? And I wanted all our audience to get thrilled about hearing the stories. If they have, as I mentioned earlier, if they have any doubts, in making into, moving forward to making music or doing music, they will get inspired. Hey, if she can make it, I can make it. If he can make it, I can make it. That kind of power we will be giving. So that was the sole reason of the purpose of this event, that we started very newly. I mean, as you know that after the pandemic, I took almost 1.5 years of a break. I started back again and bringing in beautiful artists such as you, hearing stories, and we are all very excited to know about your story today. And typically, as we all always go, I would like to ask, the typical question. The typical first question, I would say, every anchor asks. Please tell us about your childhood, about your parents, family, your siblings, if you have any, and your schooling, where you went, and your upbringing as a young girl. Um, with us, if you would like to share those stories. We are looking forward to hear that.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for also letting us know why you started this beautiful show, so that people have a chance to interact. When I say people, I mean I have a chance to interact with, as an audience member, when I'm watching your show with the artists you bring on. And today, to be able to share some little nuggets from my life's journey. I was born in Chennai, in Mylapore, and that's where I grew up. And as you know, Mylapore in Chennai, yes, I know you're from there too. So, Mylapore, as you know, Tirumailai, is the heart of the city where there is so much art happening all the time. And so we were raised in that environment. And you also know this, Rose, that in the times when we were younger, it was pretty normal for parents to take their children to classes and give them a little bit of sense of understanding of the arts. And I believe when I was very young, I was always standing on tables and pretending those were stages and, trying to sing, or even, acting like singing. And then the veena was something that always fascinated me. So when I was about 6, my tata, my grandfather, And my parents, they said, okay, maybe we should go to class and see. So I started my first journey in Sullivan Garden with a teacher. And the veena was so big at that age. When I was 6 years old, they gave me a full size veena. So there were cushions and other things to prop it up, so I could enjoy playing it. And I certainly did enjoy, because the one beautiful thing about the veena, which you are so familiar, having a Vainika in your house. Um, and MKG, one of my dear friends, is a very fine veena player, in addition to being a keyboard artist and so many other things. So the veena, when you start playing, it's very easy. You pluck the instrument, and there is automatically a nice sound. So it's very easy to start a journey on the veena. So that is probably what drew me also. And of course, I have watched the legends play, because we used to be taken to kacheris. And when we did that, the love for the instrument and wanting to bring this joy, it must have been inside me. I'm sure as a 6 year old or a 7 year old, I wouldn't have understood so much of it, but there was something about the tone. There was something about the fact that the performer on stage was able to draw everybody in. And of course, the quality of the music, the mridangam, the violin, if it was a vocal program, the vocalist, the tanpura, the ghatam, the ganjira, the morsing, everything was so fascinating that I began to go to these kacheris and enjoy myself. And in those days, I'm sure you were also exposed to all of this at home. So the home environment is such an important thing. And so all I was given was a big gift of going to concerts, enjoying that, and thus began my journey. Then slowly, I started to go to the music academy as a young schoolgirl. I was studying in Rosary Metric in those days. My father was with the State Bank of India, and I used to take lessons from Devakota Narayanengar sir. What a grand master that was, and he was, and that experience was just something. I'm just so fortunate. Then at some point, my parents took me to Srimati Kamala Ashwatthama, who turned 90 recently, my guru, who lives in Hyderabad now, mother of the very eminent prodigy, Srimati E. Gayatri. And Kamala teacher was one of the people that I remember very vividly, who fostered this love. And Gayatri Akka would come and also give little tips during class, which I don't know if she remembers, but I recently met her and we were talking about that. And I recollected those experiences. Those were fascinating for me to meet Gayatri Akka in person when I've seen her only on stage before that. My father's job took us to Bangalore because his was a transferable job. And so I went to Bangalore, studied in Aurobindo Memorial School, which was a central school at that time, as opposed to the State Board of Rosary Metric. And then pretty soon, another move to Baldwin Girls, which was an ICSE school. Very normally, we all accepted all of this. My sister Ranjani and I have one sister, Ranjani, and she also learned the violin as a child, because that was the thing our parents gave us, this great gift of music. We also had dance in Rosary. So I still remember studying with Srimati Saroja Kameshwaran, a mandatory class for dance, which I loved. But I pursued music, um, because our family was leaning towards that. And I enjoyed music. So I enjoy watching dance these days, being performed by others. And I greatly admire the art form. But the exposure was definitely there. Then we came back to Chennai after Bangalore. In Bangalore, I was with Srimati G. Channamma, disciple of Tiger's brother, Veena Krishnamachar, and A.D. Zachariah, who was on the violin, a violin artist of All India Radio, was also guiding me, and Srimati E.P. Alamelu, one of the greatest Vainikas in Bangalore, along with Srimati G. Channamma. So I had classes there, then came to Chennai, and then back transferred by Appa's job, then went to Srimati Kalpakam Swaminathan. At that point, Sri L. Krishnan, who was the father of uh, Mridangvidwan Sri Arun Prakash, a family relative, advised my mother, and he spoke to Kalpakam teacher and took me there. I was about 14 and a half, 15, and that was the beginning of my journey with Kalpakam teacher, which went on for almost 30 years.
How beautiful. Oh my God. So you had a pretty strong foundation with all these eminent, beautiful musicians, and such a fortunate musician you are. I mean, that's really, really, really great. Wonderful to hear all that, And so you had all this. Rosary matriculation. That's one of my, I taught there, like, I mean, probably very recently, meaning 35 years ago, just for a short while also. Yes, I was in my early 20s. Just for 1 year, I taught there. Then I had to come here, come back to the US. So, so that's what I mean. See, a lot of like places we met, but in a different timings. That's really wonderful. And Nirmala ji, share your initial like a family support, like like as you sit down and practice, moms, dads, you said tata, and people you'll grew up with so many relatives around you. So like a family support while growing up as a young girl. Also, the initial music education, the practices, how you would do, like as a child, naturally, even though we have all these kind of, yeah, I wanted to sing, when it comes to practice, we will be still little girls, oh my God, so many hours of practice. What am I supposed to do? These kind of stuff. So probably you are different, but I was like that. So so please share those kind of moments and stuff like that with our audience, please.
Definitely. And very honestly, that was how it was, because when I would sit down to practice, several of my friends would be playing outside. So that was the time when I had to either practice or go to class or something like that. So I still remember Amma telling me, um, if you don't get to practice now, then you will not be able to learn anything tomorrow in class. So it was Amma, my mother, who I owe the discipline of making the practice happen. This was when I was about 6 or 7. Okay, I have to be very honest. After that, I realized that I was discovering a lot of fun things to do on the Veena. For example, you've taught in Rosary. So I was in the school choir. I used to sing as an alto, and Mr. Handel Manuel was one of our directors. And as you know, Padma Shri, and one of the most eminent pianists and conductors of our times. And he would come and guide us, and we would sing in the radio. And in fact, my first introduction to All India Radio was through Rosary and the choir. That was my first time I ever went. We sang a Christmas carol, not exactly only carols, but we sang many of those. So I would be playing all of those, Silent Night and Oh Holy Queen of the Rosary, all those things I would be able to play on the Veena. Of course, at that time, it was very exciting when you're 8 and 9 and nobody teaches you these songs, but you're able to play them. And that is because of this obvious, the swarajnanam, as we call it, which is something that is innate in instrumentalists, particularly because that knowledge of swarams helps us convert everything. And then the movie Shankarabharanam came out when I was about 10 or 11. Then several of these movies, the beautiful Chalanate of Paniviram Malarvana, all those things, all those background music, the BGMs as we call it, those all became fun things for me to do, particularly the non classically inclined family members, my uncles and a few others, my youngest uncle particularly. He would bring all his friends to hear me play all this Paniviram Mallarvanam and all that. I was exciting for a young kid, that you could actually do something to make someone happy. Of course, Amma was always in the background, alerting me that that is okay to play, but only after I've done my regular whatever kirtana or varnam practice that was required to be. So Amma was really the person that enforced that. And at Bangalore, she would take me to classes. My school was in the afternoon at Arabindo. So morning, Amma would cook everything, finish everything for Tata and Appa and everybody, and then take me for several hours. She would dedicate my to my training. She would be there. So I owe that to my amma today also. I convey my gratitude in so many ways, but nothing can come close to what they have done. My father was a very senior officer of the State Bank. He retired as managing director of the State Bank of India, a self-made man. So you can quite imagine his journey must have been a lot of hard work. But Appa would sit with me Late in the night, after he'd finished all his files and all of that, he would bring homework, as we would call it, from bank, and listen to me play. And Amma would be half asleep by then. It was 11 o'clock probably. Amma would be so tired because she would get up at 4. But she would also be there. And Appa would patiently listen. And what would I have played at 10 and 11? I mean, what would I have known? Here, Appa had made recordings of me at age 8 playing an Alapana and Kalyani. And oh God, if I listen to it today, it's like, oh my God, how could they even continue my training? It was so bad, so pathetic.
No, at 8, that's the maximum we can do. But that's what, the parental guidance, at that age. Wow, that's amazing, amazing.
And the teachers that take you on these journeys. I owe everything today to what I am. What little I have discovered about music is thanks to my parents, my tata, who brought me my first veena, in the early 70s, 500 or maybe 70, 73, 74. Getting a veena, 500 rupees for a veena is a lot of money. So Tata was the one that made that call to get us that instrument. And then, of course, then Kalpakam teacher, when I came back to Chennai, ordered us very special set of veenas from Tanjavur. In fact, she even took us to Tanjavur one time to play in the Trivayar festival, to play in Kuthanur at the Kumbhabhishekam. That's one of my best memories. I was about 17 or 18. I was in college. There were 15 or 20 of us from our teacher's school. She organized it, and for I just admire her so much. For somebody such a small petite lady, I joined her when she was close to retirement from the Tamil Nadu Government College as a full professor. That's when I joined her. And at that time, she was already close to 60 or 60 perhaps. And then she managed all of us, took us on this trip. And I still remember Kalyani Ganesan, Mami's husband, Sri VM Ganesan. Mama was such a huge support for us. Mama came to play Mridangam. And there were 15 at least of us, I think, taking our veenas, going to Tanjavur. She took us to the Achari, Narayana Achari's store to show us how veenas are made. Then she took us to Kuthanur, where I was very fortunate to sit with my guru on that stage and play at the Kumbhabhishekam of Saraswati Ambal. She's also taken me to other kacheris like Krishnagana Sabha, Ragasudha Hall. I've played many, many times sitting with her on stage, which I think is one of my greatest blessings in life. But this very, I was a out and out born and brought up in Chennai, Bangalore, like that. So I've never been to a village like Kuthanur. So teacher took us there and exposed us to what life in a village is. And I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much had it not been mingled with music and my friends. And we all traveled by train, second class, which I don't do anymore. So those were experiences that I just cannot forget, and grateful to my gurus. With TRS sir, I moved with Sharma sir, Sitaram Sharma sir. When we had class in Kalapitam, sometimes it would be 7 o'clock. And I lived in CIT colony, not far, but still at the other end, closer to the Mylapore Fine Arts. And Sharma sir would take me on his scooter, take me home, because in those days my parents were in Iran. I was staying with my tata and extended family, and take me, drop me, make sure Tata knows I have come back home, because by 7 it gets dark, at that time it gets dark. And CAT colony was a quiet area. It was not like what it is today, bustling and with activity. It was very quiet. Otherwise, he would make sure somebody came and dropped me at home. Many times, TM Krishna was my classmate. Many times, Krishna, Srikant, his elder brother, and a bunch of us will walk down home because sir would say, go drop her. And Krishna's mother was like a mom to all of us. So our teachers did not treat us as anything different from a family member. Sharma sir was very kind and very, very lovable, affectionate, strict, yes, very strict also, but extremely kind. You said you have worked with Sharma sir, or did I hear you say?
I was working in a like a music school, and we used to produce a lot of dance dramas. And so he was it was in my like a late teens and then early 20s. And then, so for the dance drama, he used to be coming as a Nattuvanar, Nattuvanga Madradhukku. And then what happened was, he came here, like I'm talking about 30 years ago. And once he remembered and he said that, நீ ஒரு வருஷம் கூப்பிடுவ அடுத்த வருஷம் என்னை விட்டுட்டு வேற யாரையோ கூட்டிட்டு போயிட்டேன் எனக்கு ரொம்ப அந்த அளவுக்கு as he said I can accept it. He is such a genuine open hearted person and like nothing to hide. இன்னும் ஒரு வருஷம் கூப்பிட்டு அடுத்த வருஷம் விட்டுடுவேன் நீ வேற யாரையோ கூட்டின்னு வந்து நட்டுவாங்க பண்ண வச்ச உன்னோட ஷோல அப்படியெல்லாம் வந்து சொல்லி அவ்வளோ ஸ்வீட் ஹார்ட் அவர். So I worked with him a lot on these dance dramas, like some of the dance dramas I used to compose, and then he used to, we used to make a recording of it and then send it to the, places where the music was not available, kind of stuff, like, in the Singapore, Sri Lanka, and the Madri area. So he used to be a Nattuvanar for those dance dramas. So I worked with him quite a bit, actually. Such a sweet heart, that's what I would say. And I'm, why I said was, we went through so many of the same musicians. And Kalkata Krishnamurti sir, as he said, I finished my master's. I mean, towards the end of the last 6 months, he came there from Rishi Valley to looking for opportunity to teach in the university, Madras University. And so we studied under him at least like 6 to 8 months. So like we kind of went through similar things. That's what I meant. That's really beautiful to know, Nirmala ji. And next I wanted to know, you are a chair of the American Composers Forum, right? Can you please tell us more about it? And so what exactly, first of all, for the audience, I mean, since we live here, I know what it is and stuff like that. For our audience, like a wide, from different parts of the world. So just tell what is American Composers Forum, and so what is your responsibility as a chair, that what you do, and what the forum does.
Thank you. Asking about the ACF is really nice of you to do. The American Composers Forum is a national organization. It is based, though, in St. Paul, which is the Twin Cities, as we call it. I live in the Minneapolis side in a suburb called Plymouth. The Composers Forum is based out of St. Paul. But it is close to 50 years, coming up on 50 years. And in fact, it was formed as the Minnesota Composers Forum, if I remember right, in 1973. So, and then it became the American Composers Forum a few years later. So this year, on paper, would be a 50-year anniversary too. The idea was for composers to have a place to get together and create new music, or the opportunities for new music for Minnesota-based composers was the reason why the Composers Forum was formed. Over the years, it started to have many programs to help composers, and some chapters were formed across the country, including one, if I remember right, in Los Angeles. And then there was one in Philadelphia, and then some other parts of the country. Now, for the past several years, the chapters have all merged into the Composers Forum again. And the composers have joined the forum. The one big difference that the forum has now is it doesn't have memberships. So people have no barriers in that sense that you have to pay a membership to become the forum, part of the forum. You can just always avail of the services of the forum. And another wonderful thing that the forum has been doing, I became a member. That is how I came to know about the American Composers Forum. Some friends of mine said, there is this wonderful organization, why don't you join? So I joined, and I realized that they were very, very welcoming, and they were very curious about Indian music, very curious about the Saraswati Veena. And I performed for them several times, and with some of my composers, friends in Minnesota, I started to create collaborative work. I started to write for dance, for Ragamala Dance Company, for Katha Dance Theatre, Ananya Dance. These are all companies based in Minnesota that have a very, very big national presence. And then for Pangea World Theatre, that is a wonderful theatre company in Minnesota that I started to also write. And the forum were helping support some projects like this. So that was one of my first experiences. Then, with my friend Jan Gilbert, we started to create works for Veena, and the St. Paul Civic Symphony was the first place we did a Mother's Day event. I think it was way back in 2006 or 2007 that we put together our first set of works together. Soon I was realizing that the forum was a very fertile ground to keep pushing forward with new ideas. About 6 years ago, I think, or maybe 5 years ago, I was very pleasantly surprised to be asked to join the board of directors. And I jumped at it, first because there was such openness in an organization that was originally Eurocentric, but now very welcoming of other forms of music. And I was very keen on taking Indian classical music to a different level, and bring it to the table in a very serious way. Then, about 2020, the new director, the executive director, Vanessa Rose, took over after the previous director, John Nectarline, the president, retired, who was also a very, very good friend of mine and extremely, supportive of the forum and forged ahead, making the forum a very, very important part of the American culture. Vanessa asked me to chair, and at that point, we decided to do a co-chair situation because I was also traveling and I was also not sure what being chair would mean. So, with Stephen Miles, who's from New College, Florida, he was the provost and the dean. I learned a lot, and we co-chaired for a couple years. Then last year, Steve finished his tenure and stepped down, and I was asked to stay on for one more year. And I was going to step down this year, but I believe my services for another year will be helpful to the forum. So here I am. The board of directors generally are advisors to all the things that happen. And the American Composers Forum has changed a lot in the last few years. The grounds of George Floyd's murder in Minneapolis happened about 17, 18 miles from where I sit now. And I still remember that one board meeting in May when we could hear helicopters flying above us, and things were not very great, because there was so much unrest in the community, and that was a reckoning moment of reckoning for all of us about equity. And we don't talk about just DEI as just a term, but we really believe in action. And so a framework was created, a strategic plan was made, and many, many activities have happened since, which are, I believe, making the forum a very, very equitable place. Even the word composer has been expanded to include music creator, because Indian classical music is composition of a very different kind. So, where does improvised music stand in this picture? So all of that started to evolve in a very big way. And I'm very proud that the most recent activity of anatomy of a commission. So, for example, somebody commissions you, Roseji, to write for a particular organization or a group. The very fact about a commission, about how much does one get paid, what are certain terms and conditions, when do you need to submit the first draft, how does the contract need to look, this kind of thing has not yet happened in the world of composition. So right now, I'm very thrilled that one of the newest projects that we have undertaken is Anatomy of a Commission, and that has just started being released, and everybody's very excited because now there is a template on what a composer can look forward and how these terms can be spelt out. So both sides are benefiting, the people commissioning a composer and the person getting commissioned. Now there is a somewhat of a blueprint. It's evolving, of course, and I'm very proud to say that I'm
With your presence, things are, that's beautiful. See, that is what sometimes it's the knowledge that you are imparting to create something. Whatever said and done, the we come from the Indian culture. There are so many things when we started was not there, and in the current world when we live, you know so many other things which has to be implemented to make it better. So you have that kind of knowledge. So in the old fashioned way, whatever is happening, when you impart this, that is an amazing thing, and I'm very proud of you. I'm very, very happy to hear that. Very, very happy to hear that.
But I can't take credit for this because all I have been doing is watching this thing happen. So the hard work has been happening in the background by consulting with various teams of people, with the lawyers about the legalese, with composers on what their needs are, with the commissioning organizations on what we need to speak about. And that is where I think the greatest work is happening when minds are open, when learning is a necessity and everybody recognizes that the playing field has to be somewhat level, then good and solid work starts happening.
Very, very true. Yes, amazing, amazing. I'm very happy to hear that. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Nirmala ji. And then you are also vice president at the global Carnatic Musicians Forum, right? And can you please give us some details about the Global Carnatic Musicians Forum, and so what you guys do and who are all. I know here and there. I mean, I'm not involved in that. I don't see much what is what. Once in a while, Sudha ji puts some informations out there, and if I'm there on Facebook, and if it is there in my timeline, so I kind of go and look at it, but I don't have much of the details about what is what. So can you please shed some lights on that, please?
Thank you. So GCMA is the name of the short acronym for the Global Carnatic Musicians Association, and Sudhakka is our president. So that's in her feed. I'm sure you're seeing things about GCMA. I'm one of the worker bees. I happen to be, the title is vice president, but the bottom line is we realized some years ago, which we all know this, that united we can do a lot more for the community. So that is how GCMA came to be. That we started to get together and we had these informal chats about, oh, should we form this association and should we try to see what we can do for the betterment of musicians? And we formed this organization, and the very first thing that I think GCMA did was a prayer for rain, which in Chennai at that time there was a huge drought. So they had a program, I think, called Megha Raga Varshini, and artists came willingly and performed, and hopefully that brought rain. But that was one of the first things that GCMA did. But the main reason of GCMA was it was started by musicians, for musicians, by musicians, for the benefit of everybody, community and musicians. The idea was to do more for the spread of Carnatic music, classical music, improve the conditions under which musicians were, try to support those who are not able to perform with pensions, with a small scheme, and all of these ideas, health insurance for musicians, some ambitious goals, yes. And Tanjavur Muruga Bhupati Anna was one of the leading people that went and spoke. He was the reason I joined GCMA. He spoke to me. He spoke to many artists and requested that we join hands. And with the blessing of all our legendary, including Mani sir, who we recently lost, GCMA has had the support of TVG sir, who will be speaking with you tomorrow, which I'm very thrilled about. Legends like that, every single one of them is part of GCMA, either in an advisory capacity or in the executive committee or an office bearer, a worker bee, that type of, being involved. GCMA started, but then the pandemic came. So all concerts were gone. Temple musicians, Nadaswara Vidwans, Tavil Vidwans, they were hit the hardest because temples were all closed and that was their livelihood. So one of the first things that GCMA did was to mobilize funds. And Roseji, I strongly urge you, with your huge fan following and students and communities, to be part of GCMA. GCMA has members from all over the world, as you know, and we started to solicit funds to help our companions and fellow musicians in need. So we recorded a set of concerts under very strict COVID protocol. We hired the Nardagana Sabha auditorium, and Ragamalika TV came with their crew, and artists were given time slots to come and sing. And 15 concerts, I think, if I remember right, the first round of concerts called Parambaryam was put together, and we solicited people's support to buy these concerts. And so these could be fun. This was the first fundraising activity. Then after that, there was a Navaratri festival where the younger artists performed. And so then we started to generate enough buzz about GCMA, and people started to donate very generously. And I'm proud to say that we were able to help many musicians with a monthly stipend of about 5,000 rupees for several months. We requested was for them to write a message, and we spread the word through all channels possible, which is why you might have seen something on social media, to ask musicians to write to us if they were in need of help. And we were told that that small amount that we were able to give, about 200, 300 musicians, helped them with things like electricity bills, or paying a school fee for their children, or a hospital treatment, something or another. And we did this not just in Tamil Nadu, but the entire four southern states, now five southern states. In GCMA, we have state secretaries. And if you look at that list of office bearers and people in GCMA, it's like a who is who in the world of Carnatic music today, because it is run by us, and we are not great administrators. Our treasurers are our own musicians, our general secretary, our joint secretary, every single person who is in there. Sudaji is our president, and there are three of us that are vice presidents, and you can look up all the details on the website. But every single state secretary took this upon themselves. We got groceries for 2,000 families across South India. Each state, we in fact sent the money, and they bought groceries and made bags of groceries and donated in different parts. We went around distributing. And so that was something else that was done. In addition, we had the pension scheme, which was already going on for 3 or 4 musicians, tambura artists, musicians who are unable to perform or play anymore. We were supporting them with a small stipend. Again, we came to know, and the most number of people we could support, we would support everybody. But unfortunately, we don't have limitless funds. But now the other thing that GCMA did once this was all done was provide health insurance for all its members, which I think was a huge deal. And last year in 2022, for the first time, we provided health insurance for all our members. All we needed from them was some data of their personal data, which we sent to the insurance company. We also raised enough money to pay their premium for that year, so that they didn't have the strain of that also. So basically, we solicited from giving like-minded people who wanted to help, and there are many. Thank God for that. We were able to do that, and now again for this year, that has also been successfully done, and our members are covered. We can also say that GCMA has many such plans in the works. They also have associated themselves with several colleges and universities, and our Vidwans and Vidushis are going to these venues where students are learning how to be an artist, and talking about being an artist, and all the questions are being answered, specific topics are discussed. GCMA is doing monthly concerts for the past year, all around a town in Chennai, and I'm hearing that they're talking about taking it to other cities also. So that our artists are brought with the support of local organizations to all parts. We have done youth festivals 2 years in a row, curated youth festivals. Our youth have come from all over the world to participate in these festivals. So 2 years in a row, very successfully, we have implemented youth concerts, and we have telecast them on social media too. And we have paid stipends to all our artists so that we do things the right way, you know.
What a noble, beautiful cause. I mean, at least I was completely unaware of all these beautiful things. And, audience, whoever is watching this right now, please show your support for the growth of this organization. They're doing such a beautiful job, especially in pandemic. Probably most of you had known that I always came here and asked you to support several of the struggled musicians. And of course, like several of you also helped personally, to support them, to at least to have their basic needs. But now they had created like an organization, and through the organization they are doing several beautiful things for the struggling musicians. At least when we are in struggle only, we will know how hard it is. I know, I mean, right now maybe I'm sitting, that's my backyard, in a beautiful backyard, and having this live. But the thing is, I was a struggling musician 30 years ago, 35 years ago. ஒருவேளை சாப்பாட்டுக்கு struggle பண்ணியிருக்கோம். ஒரே ஒரு வேளை சாப்பிட்டுட்டு we also lived the rest of the day. And those are, I mean, when as a young early 20-year-old with a child, and both of the husband and wife coming to America knowing only Carnatic music, you can imagine, how much of struggle we went through to become who we are. So we also know how hard it is to be a struggled musician. And there are several during the pandemic time. And of course, we all, went ahead and helped them. But as an organization, they are doing such a wonderful thing. And especially Sudha ji is one of my very good friends from my young age. And so she is a president. And of course, our good friend Nirmala ji being a vice president. I didn't know all that. I knew probably it was Sudha ji's organization. I didn't even know that, like recently after I read the profile, I kind of came to know that you are also part of the organization. And so people, please go ahead and whatever, I think they have the website, probably go read, and whatever you can support to promote this organization to help these struggling musicians. This is my personal request to all of you. If you are going to be watching this episode later on, if you are not on live, please make sure to go ahead. And Nirmala, do you have a website or something, some link that maybe, after our live, you can post it in the same link, so that when people come back to watch this, they will have the link. They can always go and look at it, and whatever they can provide or do, that'll be an amazing thing. So please support organizations like this, with full-heartedly, without expectations. They are doing a lot of good things to the musicians community, or I would say the artist community. So your pennies or not, your money is not going to be wasted through good-hearted people. So please, and probably it will be tax deductible as well,
Yeah.
since they are non-profit organization. It probably is going to be tax deductible, so you will get your money back in a different way. So please go ahead and support them. That's my personal request to anybody and everybody who is watching this show.
Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure, and a little what I can do. And then we are going to the next question now. And you studied under many eminent musicians and gurus, and this is amazing. If one musician get these kind of opportunities, and you are blessed to have that opportunity. And how does your training from all of them are translated to how you teach your students, your disciples? If you can share your thought on that.
I would like to believe and hope I can be 1,000th of what my gurus were as teachers. I hope I can inspire my students the way my gurus have inspired me. From Sharma sir, from KSK sir, from Kamalamma, from all these people, I have learned about the value of time and discipline. From Kalpagam teacher, I have learned about modeling a life of being a mother, a daughter, a sister, a wife, a friend. How does one manage that as a woman? Because I was longest with Kalpakam teacher, almost 30 years, since I joined her till when she passed on April 6th, 2011. And she was 89 years old when she passed. From TRS sir, I have studied how beautifully he interacts with his students. There is so much joy when you're around TRS sir. Sharma sir also, there is, and KSK sir, all of these people, there was so much joy in class. From my Bangalore guru, Srimati G. Channamma, her classes for me would start at 7 in the morning and I would be there till 11 in the morning. Almost three days a week I was there because my school was only at 12. Amma would give me breakfast and send me to class, but my guru would come from Shivaji Nagar to, Baswangudi, which is where her school was, Gana Mandira. And as soon as she came at 7 and doors were all open, somebody would come and do all that. And I would come, she would call the boy who helped her and order one upma and one varapuram or some idli and varapuram, something like that. She made sure I had it also. And my mother would have given me something to have in the morning to leave, go to class, but that was my guru. Or at 9 o'clock, she would order that breakfast and she would make me eat it with her. Maybe that is why in my classes I always have cookies or something special, because I think she made it so comfortable. Someday, the child might be hungry, the adult might be hungry, because teachers' classes were also, in Chanama teachers' classes, I also learned how to teach because she had me play with every group that came. She had my class separately, of course. She would teach me. And then people would start coming. The office goers would come by 7:38. Then around 10 o'clock, the homemakers would come. Over the weekend, school kids would come. She would have me play and sing. Everything was also vocal. That was another thing with both Kalpakam Swaminathan and Channama teacher and Alamelu teacher and Kamala Ashwatthama. We all had to sing. All my gurus were insistent on the vocal side. And I also studied vocal separately, which was another blessing because I liked to sing and I had the most patient vadyars. But
We're waiting to hear a little bit later on too.
thank you. But the thing was, with all of them, I could. She would teach me how to teach. I never realized it was a very organic process. That we were all learning how to teach as I was playing with each group. So when I began teaching, I guess all of those methods, and with TRSRs, there were a lot of anecdotal material taught in class about a particular composition, the background, how this was created, how this was performed by this Vidwan or that Vidwan, and what are the highlights that they showed us through these compositions. His own journey, he would talk about it. And Mrs. Tiaras and Sir met in the music college. So Sir would very happily share those kind of stories. And Mami, again, I would go to class when I was also working in NIIT. By the way, you do know that that is my other passion is computer science, which I worked in for 16 years before I quit that to become a full-time musician. So I was working in NIIT in those days and I used to teach computers. And my shift was at 12 in the afternoon. And those were the days I would go to Sir for class. So I again was there at around 7:30, and it was pretty cold in Delhi winter mornings. And Miranda House, right opposite Miranda House in the university campus, is where Sir's house was. Oh, thank you for that beautiful picture. Sir has visited here in Minnesota also. Sir has come and seen us here. So when I went for class, Mommy would have tea for Sir, and Sir would have finished the previous night. His dining table would have, hundreds of books. So Sir would be reading about something, and Vandutya, va, let's have tea. That's how the day would begin. And with this kind of, gurus, um, with Dr. B.M. Sundaram, who became my guide after I started researching for writing for a quartet. We performed in symphony space. My friend Jan Gilbert and I, we took a phrase from Shakuntalam, Kalidasa's Shakuntalam, and that was written for a string quartet. And so I was curious to know more about it. So that is how my journey with Dr. B.M. Sundaram, who we call Sundaram Mama, began. And with him, the joy of learning, the joy of discovery, the joy of research, all of this came into full light. So if I think about all these wonderful things, and there have been several others that, like Balchandar Mama, has mentored me a lot, has given me a lot of advice. And he was my Manasiga guru and hero when I was growing up, because my appa was extremely attached to Balchandar Mama's music and MDR Sir's music. Amma was very highly into Balmurli Sir's music and KVN Sir's music. So all these legends and different aspects of music was in the house, was outside the house in my guru's homes. And I hope that the discipline of all my gurus, oh, thank you. This was when Balmurli Sir came to Minnesota, and we spent a beautiful evening with him. In fact, several times we've spent time with him. We were very fortunate. And that is my parents and Balamurli sir. Amma and Appa knew sir also after we got introduced. And so this was sir saying that ice cream, he can have any number of ice creams and still go sing a concert. In fact, I still remember that was why we were all laughing so much. He says, "Yanakunu ahadana ice cream சாப்பிட்டுட்டு நேரா மேடைக்கு போவேன்." I have seen him do it, in fact. So that picture was taken at that time. So these were some of the experiences from these greats. From Lalgudi sir, I learned Varnam Sansam Tilanas. It was arranged by TRS sir. And I still remember sir talking about each and every Tilana, particularly this one about, uh, I think it was the Dijavanti Tilana, that sir was talking about how he was imagining walking, that the composer is walking on a street, calling out. And that calling is there in that Vijayavanti Tilana. Sir Choluvar. Adhe Mari Mand Pati, he talked about the sprightliness of Mand. So the way they emoted the compositions. And when I talk to my students about Janani Ninuvina, for example, I remember those very valuable lessons about Kalpagam teacher talking about Triloka Janani and how that goes into the Mandra Sthai, because that Riti Gaula is meant to live on the Veenai, particularly on the Mandra Sthai. How wonderful it looks. This is a picture when my first album, Melodic Expressions, was released. And there is Kalpagam teacher Sharma sir and there's Vasu sir. We released it in the Kalapitam Hall. And Sir, எனக்கெல்லாம் எதுக்கு நீ என்னவோ கொடுக்குற? She asked me at that time. I still remember when we honored my guru, and she said that to me. And this was a picture that was taken, as you can see, 12/18. So it was 18th of December, some year, when I had gone to visit her right after arriving in Chennai. I went to visit Kalpam teacher. In those days, I would make shorter trips because I was working full time. Nowadays, it's I spend half my time there and half my time here.
How beautiful to hear that. I mean, this is amazing. Like, this is why, these kind of shows, see, probably you never expressed, maybe, when the students come, you probably say these kind of things here and there. But the audience, worldwide audience, might not know about all this. This is a beautiful thing, Even I didn't know. So, that's something amazing for all of us to, know about the artist. That's really amazing, Nirmalaji. And I wanted to find out. You had collaborated with several musicians from different, around the world, such as Chinese, new music, jazz, right? And now, when you have, you also have done Carnatic and Hindustani jugalbandis, right? And can you share few of these collaborative experiences that like how it is as an artist? How did it make you feel, or what can the experience? Just share your experience with us, please.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking about that. The reason why I felt like collaborations is right from the time I left the shores of India. We lived in England and then we lived in Switzerland. And I never imagined in my life that I was going to be living outside India, because when I married Rajshekar, it was a arranged marriage by my parents and his parents. I thought they live in the heart of Mylapore also. So I thought all my life that's where I was going to be. I was going to maybe work also in IT and continue my journey in music. Little did I imagine that life was going to have these opportunities for me to go to different countries. And luckily, I love traveling. So I took each one of them as an adventure. And every time I traveled to a new country, I always started to listen to the music in that country. So that was how I got exposed to what we call Western classical music or European music. And listening to all of this made me so happy about the variety of music that there is in this world. When I came to America, to Minnesota, Minnesota is one of the best places in this country, one of the best states for promotion of the arts and for the variety and the quality of the arts you see here. It is kind of a little secret, I think. And now and moving forward, I think people realize that this is a treasure trove of the arts. So when we moved to Minnesota, I started performing in different places and started also listening to the high quality of art that is available. So opportunities, when they came my way to try and bring two forms of music together, I was delighted and excited to explore in the different ways that we could connect as musicians. Luckily, the 12 pitches, the chromatic, scale, is available worldwide. Yes, there are many differences, but there are many similarities too. So, because we can connect through the notes, I felt, let me try this. And in the process of doing this kind of collaborative work, I believe I'm beginning to understand more about Carnatic music as well. So when we collaborated with, say, the Chinese pipa, my friend Ga Hong is a master pipa musician, and she plays this amazing Chinese instrument. And the plucking techniques, the way she plays, and she holds this instrument up and she plucks down here. And when I watch her fingers play the pipa, yes, that's Hong. And Michelle Kinney, who you see with the cello, and I have had wonderful experiences playing together. So we sit down and explore, and we have a band called Butterfly. And it was Hong's idea to bring us together. And Hong and I also worked with Ragamala Dance Theatre, which is a fantastic dance theatre in town here, and they tour internationally and nationally. And we created the music for Thomas Mann's Transposed Heads, a play which was danced by the dancers of Ragamala Dance Theatre and dance company. And Hong and I came together to create music for that. Thus was our introduction to each other. And we started to realize that there was a lot we could do together. And we have performed at the Asia Society. We've traveled together to New York. We have played in other parts of America. And the greatest thing about these collaborations is how much I get to learn about the Veena, about what I can do. And something very important you said about not being stagnant and always thinking of new ways. I believe that these collaborations have enabled me to step outside my comfort zone, to make a small handshake with another form of art. I worked with the poet Robert Bly, translating the works of Mirabai into soundscapes and original compositional tunes of the poems of Mirabai. That gave me an opportunity to compose in a different way. And since I began this journey, I have made um, small breakthroughs, I would like to say, with working with some jazz musicians. Michelle and I are part of a group called Maitri, the music of friendship. Again, another opportunity to collaborate came in 2015 when I was asked to create a program a little bit different from the usual, but using these instruments that are not the regular part of Indian musical soundscapes. So there was cello, there was saxophone, of course, there was mridangam, veena, and vocal, and a multitude of Middle Eastern instruments. This was a chance for me to learn the tunes of, other cultures. There was a Turkish tune that I got to learn. And this, of course, is the Sephardic collaboration that you're showing us here with the Sephardic scholar David Harris, Mick Labriola, and you can see Murugapupati Anna on Mridangam, and you can see the beautiful instrument oud, David Harris is singing there. He's a fantastic scholar. And in this performance, you can see us bringing together Indian traditions with the Sephardic tradition. And that's my disciple Samya, who's sitting there to sing along. And we found in the process of this commission, which was called Song of Wonder, we used wonder as the theme to explore Indian classical music and the Sephardic tradition. As you know, the Sephardic tradition is the music of the traveling Jews. And that music has got so much color. And we had storytelling, we had the theme of wonder, bringing us on different fronts, the wonder of creation, the wonder of destruction. We used the Shiva Panchaksharam, Nagendra Haraya, to be the finale of that with a similar Sephardic tune. So these collaborations, and then Maitri, the music of friendship, finally in 2018, I published an album of the work of Maitri. And Maitri is this band of cello, saxophone, mridangam, veena, and Middle Eastern instruments. And that is out there. I have now written for a few other commissioned works, such as I was the annual commissioned composer for the University of Wisconsin River Falls. They commission one composer every year to write for their wind ensemble, and I did that. And I recently wrote a marimba quartet in the ragam Kannada in Mishra Chapu. And as you know, marimba is a mallet instrument, so it was exciting for me to learn about the marimba. So if I have to write for the marimba, that's where I start, is learning about the marimba. And I'm glad to say that that is also out now there in a consortium of composers.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. I loved it. I mean, I would like to play a little a piece of something for all our audience here, and this is you playing, and I think there is a. I mean, let them figure it out. That was beautiful. And that was our friend on the saxophone who was beautiful, beautiful. And I would like to also play one more clip of yours to our audience here. Wow, what an energy! What an energy! Beautiful, beautiful playing, and loved it. And then so we are almost very close to the conclusion. But before we go off, please tell what all the things that you do as um, like leadership. That's one of the things. I mean, of course, you just mentioned you were also a computer scientist, which I did not know about. See how many new things about you I'm learning today. And then research experiences, and you are a great educator. So shine some lights on those topics, just briefly, if you can.
Well, it's just leadership is not something that you plan to become that way. You just jump into it thinking that this is going to make a difference, maybe hoping that somebody will get impacted by that. I think I've always been the kind that just accepts anything that comes my way and try to do the best I can see. from that experience. And I have been very fortunate. This is something I really, really have to call out, that I have been one of those fortunate people that have been born into a family where importance was given and recognition of the child's interests was greatly taken into consideration. Never in my life was I ever denied an opportunity to study, to learn music, to follow my heart in any of my decisions. And for that, I owe my parents, my gurus, my extended family of uncles and aunts, my sister, and now my children, Neeraj and Shruti, and my husband Raj, and my in laws. I still remember my mother in law saying this to me at one time when I had a radio program. I was very briefly in India between Switzerland and the US. So we had come back from Switzerland and we were getting ready to come to the US. And I had to have a 5 o'clock live broadcast at AIR, the FM channel. FM Gold had 5 o'clock in those days. And Neeraj, my son, was the firstborn, was hardly 2 years, 2.5 years old. My mother-in-law was working in PS Senior Secondary School. She was all her life, she was a science teacher. And she said to me, I said, Amma, it is at 5 o'clock. What will I do now with this Neeraj? Raj won't be back from office. Amma said to me, and we were living just a few streets away in Abhirampuram, and my parents were in-law were in Ranga Road. And my mother-in-law said, don't worry, I'll come from school. I'll come straight home. You be ready. You take the auto or car, whatever, and go straight to the studio. I don't think we were having a car then because we were only in Chennai for like 8 months or something like that. So it was an auto rickshaw or a taxi or something. I will take care of him. You go play your program. And Amma did exactly that several times for me, my mother in law. See, your mother doing something is something else. That is, that's why you stand on their shoulders today. And your father doing that is also, something they do. But to go into a family which you have not known before and to receive that kind of support, I'm eternally grateful to her. She has done that always. And she would also say, computer engineering, you can do, you can go and work in IT. Music doesn't come for everybody. And this is coming from a family of music lovers. They were not like my parents or my mother who knew the in depth of, what is the difference between Hemavati or Dharmavati or, intricacies of how Ananda Bhairavi and Riti Gaula are different is happening in my family. But in my in-laws' side, it was love for music. For them, Kartinile Varum Geetam was the best thing that could happen. So from her to hear these words, I think I'm very blessed. So this is what I would like to say, that right from that to the community that I live in today. When I was much younger, a little while ago, as you say, we don't acknowledge age as anything but just a number. I truly believe that too. When I used to travel for concerts and the children were still young enough, my community here supported me by bringing fresh meals to the children, giving them rides, because after all, in the US, we do everything ourselves. We are the chef, we are the performer, we are the office goer, we are the, cleaner of the house.
Don't forget, we are the oh yeah, I'm coming there. We are the cleaners.
And the friends that I have here, and my school is run by two wonderful people, Padma and Vidya. We've been doing these Veena Ganams at the urging and encouragement of Sundaram sir of the Cleveland Aradhana. For all these things, and my daughter Shruti and my son Neeraj, every one of them have helped me be who I am and to continue to be who I am. I couldn't do any of this without the luck of having the support of all these people. Similarly, any of these accolades, any of these awards could have gone to so many other people who there are much better Veena players, there are much better musicians. I just have got the grace of God and the blessings of my gurus and elders and parents, which is why we are talking today, Roseji. And
Beautiful. I mean, you're so humble, of course. I mean, you're definitely a great musician and a phenomenal Veena player. And so the God's grace is definitely on you for who you are. But definitely, like as you were saying that, I remember a book that, I read a while ago. Talent is never enough. just, we might be talented, and that only that talent is not enough to become who we are. As you said, that, like not only dad and mom, the in-laws, the children, the community, the teachers, the, everybody, as like encouragement and support and the blessing makes who we are. So that is beautifully said, Nirmala ji. We came to almost at the towards the end of it. It's going to be a rapid round. I pulled out some pictures from all over the place, and I'm going to be just showing it on the screen, and you have to tell in one word or one sentence what is the picture about. Okay? All right, ready? Don't get scared.
Oh,
Oh,
this
this
is
is I was
Song of Wonder at Gustavus College, St. Peter, Minnesota. Oh my gosh. The Youth Association for Classical Music. I would like to say 1985. And if you look very carefully, you can see the great MS Amma in this picture, the great Dr. Padma Subramaniam, Chemungudi Mama, Dr. Yeshudas, and some of today's biggest stars. We start with Vijay Shivaji on the back row there. Then there is Kannan Balakrishnan, my dear friend, my Saha Vainika. And then you see some Karthik Narayan sir, Mr. Jeevraj Alva, who was a minister in Karnataka, Sadashivam sir, Emmisama, Paddoka, and then we see Yeshudas sir. Then we start again from this corner. There is Mridanga Vidwan Rajasekar, and then a gentleman by the name of Mahesh, and then Unni Krishnanji, Usha Bharadwaj, the mother of two amazing young musicians. Then there's yours truly. Next to me is, I'm looking away, I don't know what I'm doing, but Sri Ram Kumarji, K.R. Subramaniam, Harish Devrajan, Gatam Suresh ji, and Mannar Koil Balaji Anna. So this is a picture from the Youth Association.
That's beautiful. I'll forgive you for going more than one sentence because that's well needed. I was just joking. That's such a beautiful picture. And so the next one.
Oh,
oh,
it's
it's
very
very
special.
special.
Cleveland
Cleveland.
Aradhana TRS Memorial Award 2019, I think. Uh-huh. Vikumama, Tirupati. This is, we're getting ready for darshan. Oh, this is that year when the awardees were given a backstage picture. Everybody there is just a maestro. Of course, VVS Mama is there, Sudha Akka is there, Rajeshwari Sainath, Sandeep, Shashwati ji, Birj Maharaj's lineage. There's Ramani Anna, Ramani sir's son, Raja Anna. I think I covered everybody. There's Gopi Sundaram at the back. This is
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
this
this
recently with when Amjad Ali Khan sir came to the Twin Cities. I was very fortunate in November when I played in Muddinahalli at the Sai Baba's university there in front of the Guruji. And Amjad Ali Khan Saab was in the audience. It was my great fortune. Arunamma was there. Amjad Ali Khanji was there. Yushanivasti's father was there. Several luminaries. Rashmiji from Spik Mekke was there. So many people were there. And Swamiji was there. Guruji was there. And I was lucky to play a concert in his presence. And when Amjadji came here, I was fortunate to meet him with my daughter Shruti. We went to their concert in Minnesota, and Amit ji on the tabla, told us you should come, and of course we were there. And it was so nice that he remembered us. And in fact, I had taken some tamarind rice for him, not sure whether he would like it, but he messaged me after having it that night. After this picture was taken, we had come home and he said he really enjoyed it. So I was so glad that I took it. I was thinking more of Amitji. I didn't know that Amjad Saab, Khan Saab would have it. But legends like these, um, I still will not forget how after the program, I was going to greet him after Swamiji came backstage. So I greeted Swamiji and thanked him for the opportunity. This was facilitated
Facilitate,
by
right? Means
Yeah,
you
that's
mentioned.
beautiful, beautiful. And
Oh, this was another special occasion with the Ustad, the King, Zakir Bhaiji, and Rita Mustafi ji had brought Birju Maharaji and Zakir Bhaiji to the Twin Cities, and we ended up meeting them thanks to Ramdas Palsule ji, who was also in the audience that day. He introduced us, so this was a very special program that we watched. Indian Fine Arts
Finance.
Society, Madurai Somu. One of the first awards of my life, the Nadakala Vipanshi from Guruji Balmurliji, from Madurai Somuji. My son Neeraj, when he was barely 1 year old, with my guru Srimati Kalpakam Swaminathan. My first album, when I had the good fortune of getting it released by Balmurliji. And this was the actual award function of that album. The Bombay sisters, Lalita Mami, my guru, at her house.
amazing. So you answered all that well. I just pulled it out of the internet. I said, okay, I'm going to just throw it and then let's see what she finds. You did an amazing job answering almost everything correctly. So beautiful, 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 Nirmalaji.
Thank you.
And so, one last question before we leave. What will be your advice or thoughts to the next generation of musicians who are thinking about, or who have like a doubt, should we go towards this path or should we go against the path to get something else, and then we'll have this as a side hustle. So for those kind of musicians or artists, what is your advice, or or what thoughts you have about it?
From my journey, what I can say is follow your heart, and the universe will show you the right path. Very naively, I thought I could be a computer engineer and at the same time be a musician, which is just not practically possible because you need to have the sadhana that it requires. You need to have the heart and the mind and the body, because we are like athletes. When we practice, when we sit with the veena cross-legged, the knee takes a beating, the back takes a beating, but one should be prepared to not think about all those things and commit to the path of practice. But I really don't see that there would be any quandary if one has the dream of carrying ourselves in a journey and carrying others with us in that journey, then there would be absolute clarity of thought in going ahead with music as a profession. I have met many, many musicians, many artists, even though they say starving artists, I don't think that is true for most of the community. Um, we need the goodwill of many. And I also have to thank at this time all the organizations that have had their faith in me and have allowed me to be a professional Indian classical musician living in America. I'm probably a very rare breed like you, Roseji, who have made it a profession when we are living half our lives, at least I live half my life here, but I'm able to live the other half in India thanks to the generosity and invitations of the audiences and the organizers, and keep the Veena and the flag of our national instrument flying high. So please follow your dream. Please don't be afraid to work hard. The universe will provide.
Very beautifully said. Very, very beautifully said. And I lived more than a half of my age. I came here as a young 20 to 23-year-old, married with a young daughter in hand, and now I'm going towards almost, I'm in late 50s. And more than my life, 35 years. I mean, next week is our 35th wedding anniversary on the 22nd of June. So, this is beautiful living here. This country gives us not only the opportunities and whatever dreams you come up with, it definitely helps you to develop to become more than what you can achieve for sure. And as you said, like follow your dreams. That's an amazing, beautiful words for all these young musicians. I would definitely have them all take those words and then live by it, if they have doubts about these things. Wow, wow, wow. I had such an amazing time sharing a beautiful, I mean, you know what, beautiful time with you. And thank you for sharing your experiences, expertise, and also your talents with us with those little clips. We wish you all the best in everything you do, and you're being such a wonderful human as well by supporting so many good causes. We definitely have to, for full-heartedly, we wish you all the best in anything and everything you do to make this world a beautiful place to live, and through your music. And Nirmalaji, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Happy
Happy
35th
35th
anniversary.
anniversary,
And
and
you
you
and
and
Mrs.
Mrs.
Anand, may
May
you
you
many years
years
of
of
happiness
happiness.
and success. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me on the show. Thank you so much for having me on this show. And like I said, it's I know we waited to have this, and it was so worth the wait. And for all the hard work you do, like I said, to shine the light on another artist takes a very large heart. And thank you, Rosji. And I also send you back uh, lots of love from the central time zone to the Pacific time zone, wishing you the very, very best in everything that's ahead of you. Looking forward to meeting you, and also encourage you to join GCMA and have a wonderful, wonderful 35th anniversary celebration next week. Take care.
Amazing, like let me just that's really really amazing, as you mentioned, as we all talk here, like one thing is let me just put this one here. So, one thing is do not be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. That's one thing. The one word Nirmalaji strongly said. This is for not only to the young musicians, to also to everybody. And you don't have to be a musician for that one. Any kind of passion you have, do not be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, for it is in the realm of the unknown that the greatest growth occurs. Success is not a destination, it is a continuous journey. It is a lifelong pursuit of personal and professional growth. By thriving for newer opportunities, dedicating ourselves to sincere efforts, and never settling for mediocrity. That's one thing. We open ourselves up to a world of possibilities and potential to achieve greatness. So let us embrace the challenges that lie ahead, of course. And I would advise everyone who would like to succeed in life to push yourselves to new heights, constantly seeking out new opportunities for growth and success with unwavering dedication and sincere effort, as such as our special guest Nirmala Rajasekar ji, and many other hard workers, hardworking musicians, and great musicians. We can overcome any obstacle and achieve the extraordinary. In closing, remember that the path to success is not for the faint of heart. It requires us to embrace change, work tirelessly, and always strive for more. But the rewards are immeasurable. As we become the architects of our own success and inspire others to do the same, Thank you so much, Nirmala ji. Also, for all our audience who joined us today and writing your comments, and probably some of you did not write any comments, which is okay, but I'm able to see you watching from here. And in case if you are not available, on the live, you probably will be coming back and watching it. And you must share these kind of articles to your families and friends. And this particular message is for our audiences. Thank you all definitely for joining me and Nirmala ji and so many other beautiful musicians who come every week, and with like with their specialties, with their special stories to tell us. I tell you that your support for these kind of broadcasts are very important, not only for me as well as to the artists who take part in these special episodes. So please follow my Facebook page if you can, and the Instagram page if you can, YouTube channel, which is Spring Nectar TV. Make sure to like, comment, and give us your love by sharing this content um, with the other music enthusiasts, fans, and music lovers, so that they can get also inspired through all their stories. If you haven't started following, please do it. All it needs is just poke it on this follow button or like button or share button. It's very easy, so at least somebody else will benefit hearing these stories. So make sure to follow, like the page, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube channel as well. So I will see you all next week. Actually, tomorrow I was supposed to be having Living Legend series, but unfortunately there is something very serious in TVG sir's family happening. I got a message. It's an emergency situation in one of their family members, and so I had to postpone that to sometimes not next week, but first week of July or second week of July if everything goes well. So the tomorrow's event is not going to be happening, but I will definitely update. I just got the message as it was in the live saying that the emergency situation that he had to take care. So next week I might not be here, as I'm taking a short break from the live, as we will be Muralikrishnan ji and I will be celebrating our 35th wedding anniversary on the 22nd of June. So I'm seeking everybody's blessings on that. So I will see you 2 weeks from now with more exciting Artists Beyond Limit series. Till then, stay happy, stay safe, and spread love through music and fine arts, and or else whatever arts you do with everyone around the world, to make this world a better place to live. Peace to all. Love to you all, and I will see you all soon. Thank you so much. Bye now.